preji kendomi hadamadin wo hadamadin ila nyantolum preji kendomi annun jis hadamadin wo hadamadin ila nyantolum preji kendomi annun jisenengo hadamadin wo hadamadin ila nyantolum preji kendomi annun jis hadamadin wo hadamadin ila nyantolum preji kendomi annun jisenengo hadamadin wo hadamadin ila nyantolum preji kendomi annun jis hadamadin wo hadamadin ila nyantolum preji kendomi annun jis hadamadin wo hadamadin ila nyantolum preji kendomi annun jis hadamadin ila nyantolum preji kendomi annun jisenengo adabe hadamadin la baluwole kono annun hadamadin ka fengo fen dundi akono kono ayanda ke ku senengo ay ke kuti mi yalla ko ata hadamadin mantora madum one stop water solutions limited ibi jande gambia banko kan andun ye filtarole natal mi yalla ko isala jiol kende andi anu isa senen inatale pour ka ji kendo ji senengo natale gambia banko kan jio mi yalla ko atal mantora la annun jio diata baati one stop water solutions limited ye filtarole natal mi yalla ko alse muna fangano la alla pompol isala jiol tenteng ya senendi coming alla fala nyame naketa pompoti bang abo holo fo nawek la pipe wala a filter sifa o sifa one stop solutions ya natalele 10-inch filter set of 3 ya sotalele filter mi yalo ko acidiota aya tenteng natara bankole ba kono fa kenyo wala kankan be bije sa be bon filter fana member ko 12-inch set of 3 filter mi yalo ko acidiota aya dada aya senendi mense beta alla jata kendato fana sotale CTO block carbon filter o fana mu filter mi yalo ko asi chemical o bonnino jiol kono le mense beta alla jata kendeya filter mum boko CTO block carbon men si jiola chemical be bondi akono pour alla jata kendeya sahen nim filter sabol be kili wo kili na pansundoku na wata tankol fanan sotali kabirim 500 5000 fokata 10000 liters plumbing fittings fanan be mol bulle alsemol tarano sukuta highway mariama kunda johnson wala ismol kumandi 5055691 7968270 one stop water limited solutions inatale ka jikuo be sonende gambia banko.
Good morning there. You're watching QTV this morning and I am your host Jennifer Sonko here with my amazing co-host Brikama Balde.
Yeah, good morning. It's good to be back here. It's not a Tuesday and the week is still fresh, Jennifer.
It is.
You know, it's different from the Thursdays. And we are back again on another edition of This Morning. As you know, this is your This Morning and we are happy to be here. Mansa peta olala.
Suma peta.
Anata irang de tiga peta ona.
Dama ko def rek, you know, di jema just dekale ciosan wala naka la ko wara.
Wa jema ciosan.
Wa jema ciosan bi sa lay pare?
No jema ciosan bi mom dañoo dem gaay defaral la bu poli bu de ik nonu tek peta wi ci lifi. Wow, bobu.
Yeah, man, I think I'm just, you know, doing it on the basis of tradition. You know, there's a lot of controversy around cowrie shells. I can remember, bima ko defe, am na few people you ma romba, ñu ne ma heli baaxut, man leen déedéet, man defuma ko for anything loo xam ne jëmee na si yéen noo leen ko xalaatee parce que nekk na loo xam ne it's traditional, it's beautiful and people use it. That's the only reason.
I do not believe in li baaxut. What I believe in is
lan moo tax nga koo def
loo ko bëgg a def.
Waaw lan nga ko
xam
bëgg a
naa
def
nit ñi dañ ko associate with people ñu dee sànni petaaw ak yooyu noonu. Wow, why come you're doing it for beauty?
Wow,
for fashion.
Beautification. Bila de suma digante ak yalla lay wax.
Wow, so
Mr. Mboja ngay ree suñu guest bi.
Wow, man li si bopam. Yalla moko create. Moko
Wow, why it's traditional. It's traditional. Pour man.
Wow, ku nek ak loko use. Wow, so loolu la.
Wow, comme intention bi la rek. Intention bi la as to yow loko use. Why da nga gis ne mu ngi indi a different look. You know, it can be a trend.
It's beautiful. I mean,
because ñun ay trendsetters lañ wara nekk.
ñun loolu.
Mr. Mbodj.
No, waaye ñun
dañ wara set.
waaye ñun suñ nekkul trendsetters ñan la ñoo nekk. Ñun loolu lañ di.
Waaye bii dafa mel ni yaa ngi revive trend.
Waaw.
li yàgg na de.
Déedéet waaye bii.
comme def ñettay fii.
melut nii def ñettay fii maa ko fi génne xanaa déedéet. maa ko génne biir Gambie. ku ko bëgg a jël ma ne la déedéet.
su ma seetaan news bi.
waaw.
lii laa day gis. Waaw lii sa kanam peta yi la déwoo maa ngi toog ma ne suma jabar ma ne ko ne jëna woon peta yi naka la fa demee nii Mr. Mbodj.
waaw ba pare da ngaa gis ne ñeneen ñu ko dee def dañ ko dee lonka defee ko neneen waaye man ma jël ko rek ñëw ko si kawam uyu ma mu ñëw nekk leneen comme noo ko waxee. so anyway
am coming with peta man peta saf na ma de Mr. Mbodj.
te yow ana sa sikkim bi nga ko def.
Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. We have the African proverb as usual. Mr. Mboj. We have the African proverb as usual.
So no, Mr. Mboj.
So
danga buga ne Mr. Mboj du dem. Lolu nga bugo da. Ma jaxase la Mboj. Xam nga dama xam de. Dang de rus Mboj.
No, man ki si ñima pousse la boka. So man ki du ma wax si mom yoy.
Mr. Mboj, do wax si lolu.
Nope, continue.
We have the African proverb as usual. We have the newspaper review. Mr. Mboj is here already. He will help us analyze some of the stories that we have on the papers. And also today on Community Watch, Brikama Road Construction Project. I'm not sure, but we'll be having Abibatu Sise, a reporter from the newsroom, to talk to us about which kind of road construction projects are we talking about here. It's not specific. And also on social issues today, we'll be looking at how 18% of Great Green Wall ambition achieved so far can be achieved. Only 18% of the Great Green Wall ambition has been achieved. So what can be done? What more can be done to be able to achieve more? Because Green Up Gambia, in collaboration with the British High Commission, held a documentary screening over the weekend, and this documentary screening focused on the Great Green Wall front line, just to take a look at what else can be done to achieve more. It's been 10 years since the Great Green Wall started, and only 18% has been achieved. And on Click segment today, Churchill Bada will join us here to also take us through what is happening in the world of entertainment. One Start Water Solution, part of our partners. Thank you so much for being part of us. And also we have Surawo Kamara as well, IT, okay, it's right in front of me. Surawo Kamara Unified Institute and Nursery, and they provide you all of the IT needs that you have. If you are a young person that just finished grade 12, please rush there. The numbers are right in front of the screen. They will provide you all the information that you need and just all the training that you need, ranging from elementary to certificate to Cisco, you name it. The information is right in front of you. Rush there. So what is our African proverb?
Oh yeah, let's go straight to the African proverb, the most interesting part of this program. He who runs after good fortune runs away from peace.
Okay. He who runs after good fortune runs away from good peace. So
that's from peace.
Run away
from peace.
From peace.
Oh, from peace, not from good peace. Oh, from peace.
Good fortune.
Okay, he who runs after good fortune runs away from peace.
Runs away from peace.
So when we say peace in this context, we do not mean war, conflict, but we're talking about, for me, what comes to my mind is peace of mind. Sometimes there's certain things that you chase and you get to put your happiness on the line. Your happiness is on the line to an extent that maybe, for example, you're trying to achieve something that involves a lot of money, but then it is also detrimental to your health. It is also detrimental to the people around you. That is your circle. I don't know if I'm making sense here, because the peace of mind has nothing to do with conflict or weapons or anything, but it's just basically your state of mental health, safeguarding it. Despite I want to achieve something so much, I also have to put into consideration that I have a peace of mind to safeguard. It should not affect my well-being and of the people around me. What is your take on that? Do you agree or you do not?
Well, I'm still a bit confused.
You are? Okay, Mr. Mboj.
Mr. Mboj, can you comment, please, so that you can elaborate on this?
But what are you confused about?
I just don't understand the proverb, but I want to listen to the two sides of this proverb to understand.
No, what two sides? I know what Jainab was heading towards. But let me put it this way. You know that fortune, for instance, has been represented in Western art and literature as a woman. And this woman is capricious. Just depends on what she wants. It's not different from the real women out there. Sorry. Wily, doesn't stay anywhere for long. So when you want to chase that, just know that your peace of mind, you'll probably go completely nuts.
Yeah.
That's essentially what it's telling you.
Yeah.
When you want to chase good fortune. Because really, to some extent, a lot of it is down to what you do. But again, you are interacting with external reality.
Yeah.
There's a bit that is not really up to you
to determine those factors.
Absolutely. You can only put in what you can, but again, reaction, you are not in total control of all of that.
Right.
So it will take time for whatever you sown before it will harvest. So that's what it means by peace of mind. To some extent, is gone.
Yeah.
It doesn't even, and a lot of people I know with sort of obsessive ambition.
Or too obsessive.
Oh, we know some of them.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Sometimes they can be awful to be around.
Sure,
you know what I mean? So that's they're completely absorbed, as it were, by this, that it will
So,
affect
Mr.
all the
Mbut,
aspects of
yesterday I talked about sometimes people being too content with things, but now this is too extreme. This is not about being too content, but it's just going extra where your well-being, your state of mind, your mental health is at stake. You know, we talk about taking risks, but there are risks that are not worth taking. When you're about to take risk, you have to balance it to check. You know,
at some point,
absolutely. Just understand that wanting good fortune has a price to pay. There's a price to pay.
Yes, in our
society, cost you something.
You will hear some people will tell you. At times, many people have wealth, but they don't have a peace of mind. Sometimes. Wow. Am nañ alal waaye seen xel yi daluñ. Mu ngi mel ni ñu ngi busy di accumulate a whole lot of wealth. You know, being it góor bi or jigéen bi. Waaye mu ngi mel ni seen xel yi daluñ.
It's more or less the same thing.
Understand?
That's the same thing here.
Wow, so now I understand.
The thing bi mooy sometimes nga gis koo xam ne mu ngi am xëy na salary 20,000 nga gis kuy am 5,000 kooku sax daf day mën a solve problème sami quickly ki am 5,000 laa wax de quickly mu solve problème sami doo dee xam sa naka la ko dee solve.
Waaw
waaye yow mi am 20 for instance yow because sa wants and needs are increasing based on yow fan nga foog ne foofu nga toll looking for more. So yow bu boobaa yow da nga dee gën a jaxasoo yow këlee la dee gën a nekk moo la dee gën a dal sax most of the time because yow yaa ngi seet xaalis booy accumulate and all of that.
I think being content also can come into this.
Waaw waaye content bi ñoo wax waxuñ content yi man content bi ñoo wax bu agree wu ma si content boobu.
No content bu ñoo wax ak bu ñu doon wax démba.
du benn
it's totally different.
Waaw du benn.
bii nii like comme ñun comme mun ngaa dem.
Waaw
mun ngaa dem.
Waaw
waaye comme ñun dañoo content si luñ am.
waaw
ak bii bu ñoo wax nii. it's totally different.
waaw waaye xam nga yéen a content yi itam xëj na maa ngi am lii rek bàyyi ma am si loolu yow bëggaloo develop sa bopp content yooyu moom yooyu boobu dafa xaraam.
waaw waaye in the right way.
yéen ñaari different content ngeen di use nii.
comme exemple démba suñ proverbe bi first content biñ discuss démba mooy danga dee gis nit yoo xam ne suñu amee $1,000 dañoo ne xaama téye si $1,000 bi jarut ma dem the extra mile pour am moo am na ñoo xam ne dañoo doylu bu bon du ñuy puus am naa 1000 rek bàyyi ma toog si 1000 bi xëj na su ma demee ba di uti leneen mun naa koo ñàkk am nga content yi maa wa duñ def benn effort liñ am rek ñoom doylu nañ si bi nga xam ne duñ daw duñ dem uti understand nga waaye fii moom content bi moo wax mooy for example content yi xëj na yow nga mun a safeguard sa mental health with what you have fekk loolu xëj na dina la doy sax waaye bul dem the extra mile ba nga xam ne yow risque yooyu jël dafa uppa
o nga xalaat ba nga dof.
Wow, comme yu mel noonu. So these are the two that we are trying to talk about.
That's it. So you mean those who are easily satisfied?
Those who are easily satisfied. Si lu ndaw luñ am.
Stuff like
that. Te boobu nga xam ne moom boobu baaxut.
Yes, I'm not even sure whether I will call that contentment. I like to use content in the second sense.
Yeah,
that you use it. You putting in your best. You know what I mean? And then whatever that you've gathered, whatever your best could give you, then you're reasonably happy with that. You're willing to go with that. No jealousies, none of it. It's a very positive emotion, as it were, that sort of contentment. Oh, absolutely. It's very healthy, it seems to me. It's good for your mental health in many ways.
Right. Anyway, so I'm afraid that is all we have time for on African Proverb. So we'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll head right on to newspaper review. Our guest is already here. We'll be right back.
Begin your SUV life. S-Pass Motors, the new authorized dealer for Kia, Visit us today or call us on 3522 222 353 2222.
Welcome back from that break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. So now we're heading right on to the newspaper review. Is that the point?
This is the point newspaper. Okay. Let's take a look at the headlines. Nigerian High Commissioner pays visit to King Fahad Mosque. TRRC indicts ex-prison boss and 6 others. Names of captured Senegalese soldiers revealed. And of course, 9-year-old dies in well. Government sad over destroyed historic monument in Janjambure. Now, I think we can now agree that, I mean, this is true.
Because we have different newspapers.
Yeah, Scorpions cancel arrival due to logistics. That's what we have on the point.
Yes, I think the stories from yesterday are quite similar to the ones that we have today, as Gambians lament high price reduction in quantity of basic commodities, and also COVID-19 related deaths surge to 15, and Buyam Hospital comes first winner of GRA 2022 Taxpayers Award, and APRC calls on the President to treat Fonyi incident with utmost urgency, and also TRRC recommends prosecution of ex-APRC junta members. And on the editorial, we have Casamas border issue needs settlement, and also which parties will participate the forthcoming National Assembly elections. So that's all we have on for here. The stories are very similar from yesterday, but I'm afraid we might have to just delve into it again, as long as we have a different guest here today. Talking about the GRA Awards, we talked about it briefly yesterday. We saw how QCell is able to get GSM Taxpayer of the Year. Congratulations, it was on QTV News yesterday. But just generally, just again, are you in support of awards as such, as a means of pushing other people to do more?
Yes, it's harmless.
Okay.
It's not bad at all. It's got a symbolic value as well. People will perhaps start talking more about taxes, because it puts it on the sort of public consciousness, as it were, and we're discussing it, imagine right now, the value, because we all demand so much from our governments, but perhaps we never stop to ask, actually, where do governments get their money?
Yeah.
They got their money, part of it at least. There's the 8-bit and other stuff, but our taxes. Yeah. So this is it. So when you have the widest net, if you like, of people paying taxes, then government will have more revenue. Well, the ideal is with that you can invest more in social services. That's the whole idea. So it's a wonderful thing to have for people to pay their taxes, and these ceremonies to recognize, to acknowledge companies that are doing so, hopefully setting an example, a model for others to follow. I think that's a good thing.
Well, it's a good thing. I mean, paying taxes, I mean, this, it's incumbent upon every citizen that is working in this country to pay your tax. Being you are working for a bigger company or a small one, you have to pay, because this is what the government is going to use, part of it, to do some other works in this country.
Sure.
But also, if taxes are paid, it should reflect and people should see this. It's not only awarding certificates or giving acknowledgement to companies that are paying taxes, but also people should feel, anyway, our taxes are going somewhere. We all know, we are all deducted at the end of the month. So if that is the case, then we should also see where our taxes are going.
Yes, let's put it this way. In a sense, we all pay tax, indirect tax, be it VATs, whatever we buy, there are certain taxes sort of included, as it were, yes? But that's slightly different from the direct tax that, for instance, your workplace will take from your salary and put it in. Most people here work in the informal economy. You know what I mean? So I can come, you give me work to do, I'm giving you service, then you pay me, I go up and not paid my tax, whereas in such situations I should. So most of these dealings, transactions, are really sort of informal. So you realize that we really need to formalize this so that all of that could go to government. So this is where perhaps government would be challenged. How do you reform, bring the sort of reform that would sort of include more and more people into the tax-paying, you know, people?
But I understand what you're saying, Ibrahima. I think you're trying to drive at social protection services, because our social protection in the Gambia is very weak. I was having a conversation with an individual who lives in the UK. She told me, I do not mind to pay all my salary into tax, because I know we have a strong social protection system where if something happens, let it be sexual and gender-based violence, just anything that happens to me, I know I'll be safe because the state will take care of me. So I know you're trying to look at tangible ways, as in the availability of social protection services.
Absolutely.
But I did have a
But
conversation.
this is precisely the point.
Yes.
The more we collect taxes, this is what I meant by once you have the taxes, then you can invest in services. So social protection is also one of the services.
It's major.
So that's it. So you have these two sort of interlinked, really.
Yeah.
The more money I have, the more I can do for certain sectors, particularly vulnerable sectors, isn't it? Because these days we talk about inclusive, as it were, development. So, but this is it. I need to have that base, that resource base.
Yeah, but anyway, GRA exceeded its expectation for the year, you know, and social protection is not at all on top of this government's agenda. That's just the reality.
Yeah, let's be careful though. Yes, in the past years, of course, GRA has been collecting more and more every year and the like, yes. But when you look at the wider economy, what we get from tax is very small. We were just talking about it. You know, most things, most business transactions are done informally, really. So let us sort of put things in perspective. Generally, when you look at the big picture, what we collect from tax is low. Even though GRA has been improving, you know, collecting more and more every year.
It's still low looking at the economy.
When you look at the wider picture. So
true.
they still have potential for much more.
Much more to do. Yeah. Well, it's unfortunate, but I spoke to the Ministry of Gender and Social Welfare about 3 months to 2 months ago, and they talked about how all the infrastructure is now in place to ensure that we have a proper social protection system. Looking forward to that. But so
how many times have we heard that?
Several times.
I mean, one has to really come in, because recently we've been seeing scrutiny, is it by the National Assembly or the bodies, and we've seen how some of these institutions, how they've been working. You tell me that you've got the infrastructure, but when you feel like it, you ignore the infrastructure.
Right.
We've been seeing these reports all over the place, and this is really what the key is. This whole thing about social protection, without the administrative machinery, the right bureaucracy, you're not going to see anything. And it's not simply enough to say that we've got this in place, we've got that in place. So you've got this process-based kind of administration instead of outcome-based. So we have some way to go. And it seems to some of us that without this organizational acumen, then none of our policies will come to fruition.
Yeah, and
that's
yesterday
how we see it.
On QTV News, we saw the COVID-19 audit report, how they are expressing some of the expenditure that have been made as wasteful, about $6 million wasted when it comes to following the due process, when it comes to compliance in relation to procurement and all of that. So it's quite sad, but I saw some of their officials giving justification, saying that some of these donations that came, they did not see it. So, I mean, it's just confusing sometimes as to how state institutions do not follow some of these processes.
This is really what the problem is, and it's not simply that body. We've seen different bodies.
Multiple.
Yes, and similar symptoms.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Similar stuff. Money unaccounted for, not following procedure, not following process, and that sort of thing. So similar symptoms. So this is really a battle that we must have, because if we want to see results, we really have to clean up. I think that was why I think Kofi Annan said that the single most formidable challenge, you know, for African development is really good governance. And governance, this is really what we're talking about. And he's really very correct. without good governance, none of your policies will really give you the outcomes you want.
Yes, that's quite right. Yesterday we started a discussion, but we weren't sure about government sat over destroyed historic monuments in Janjambure. We weren't sure. Mr. Ade said, oh, let's ask Loli to confirm that. But I think this is a good time to confirm it because it has been reported by multiple newspaper outlets. But Ibrahima, you talked about the fact that it's not just a Janjambure, but it's a general problem when it comes to tourism sites in the country.
Yes.
You know, compared to at the time that you used to go to school and growing up in the country, take us through how you saw, you know, tourism sites at that time and how you see it in our generation now.
This is an interesting one. As a young person, how did I see this tourism sites? There was the Wasibit. There wasn't, you feel a sort of pride, as it were, but you really do not know why.
Okay. At the time.
You know what I mean? That's the nature of pride, especially when you are younger. Somehow this thing sort of invests in you something, but you do not know what it is. But as I've grown up, when I look at it now, I say, well, this is historical. It happened. For me, this sort of heritage tourism, I'm not so sure about that.
Why is that?
For me, heritage culture is something much deeper than to be open to this voyeurism. You know, you come and pay for your voyeurism to see how I live. I think I'm not really into that sort of looking at things. Culture is very serious business. You know what I mean? If you are interested, you come and look or listen. If you are not, stay away. I'm not going to beg you to come. So for me, this is a more commercialized version of culture which should have more value. And you can see it in the way we treat ourselves.
Okay.
We have commodified our relationships. It's just all it's just like the same thing. Everything has been commercialized. Well, for us, we are not into that.
So you don't like that?
Not really. I'm just
that's strange.
care for that.
I think
it's weird, but yeah, it's weird, but it's your opinion
every
about
person
it.
have your own way of
thinking about things and all of that.
But I think when it comes to tourism and our heritage sites in the Gambia, Ministry of Tourism and of course GT Board, they are not doing much. I think there is a lot to be done. Wow. Anyway, small guideline, but that's the truth. I mean, we want it to work. We want it to happen. We want tourists to visit our country. If we want tourists to visit our country, it's not only about sitting in the offices. It's not about paperwork. It's not about telling people this and that and that. It's a matter of implementing these things. I mentioned yesterday the case of Abuko Nature Reserve. It's dead. You understand? I went to Wasu. It's dead. You understand? The only place they are trying to revive for it to come back again, it's Kirbach, you know. And even if you go to Kirbach, you will see there is nothing to do there. I mean, there is nothing going on. The place is quiet, you know, no good restaurant, no guest house. You know, you cannot even know this is a heritage site. So I think a lot should be done. If you see, most of the tourists are leaving Gambia, going to Fatala to go and enjoy their holiday. I mean, it's because they safeguard all the things they have. No, so I think our authorities have to be very serious when it comes to this. I can see the president and some of his ministers are not happy with the ongoing destruction in Janjambure.
Right.
But if you go to Janjambure, what are you going to see there? I went to Janjambure more than 100 times, but all that I see is walls. Walls. I mean, you cannot even know if this is a tourist attraction center or not. So I think a lot should be done.
Mr. Balde, if you want to do heritage tourism, you may. But when you look at the statistics, the surveys, they tell you that a high percentage of tourists who come here, they come here for sun, sea, and sand. They don't even bother. You do have some, but when you look at the general percentage, very few really
go check all of
go
these
on
things.
this heritage stuff. If you want to do that, you may, but you understand the risks you take. And who is going to be building all of these things? The government? I'm afraid you might be wasting your money. if you're going to do that. We were just talking about earlier on how public institutions are really, they're quite inept in many ways in running things. Some might say that maybe this is unfair. You see it in the private sector as well, because most businesses go bust sooner or later. What does that show? You know what I mean? Is it ineptitude? What do you call it? So we all know that. We were just talking about it. And yet we want public institutions to invest more. And it seems to us the more you give them money,
even if it's not public institutions, I've seen private institutions using it as their corporate social responsibility to refurbish some of these areas. I've seen that. So we're encouraging something like that as well. I've seen specific institutions going to the monument and other areas and just making sure it's okay.
Yeah. No, so what you do is that when you get a private body or so, you can have one that will come with the imagination to start building something else there that you are not thinking about. And perhaps that would take so much money, but they can go and raise private investment. So this is what you do.
Well, I think
because you want the imaginative input of your citizens, so you give it to private individuals who can come up with all sorts of ideas. You wouldn't even begin to imagine them today.
Yeah, and it shouldn't even be just investors. Like I said, we have, private institutions taking up some of these areas and just making sure they're looking good, they're refurbished and all of that. But abandoning it completely is not a good idea.
In this country, Gambia,
and I do not agree with Mr. Mboj that it's just sand and sun for tourists.
Go and look at the statistics. There's no point when you look at, because people do these surveys. I mean, especially the World Tourism Organization, they've got something like that. You go onto their website, there are many studies done here.
That is true.
So it's important to have this evidence-based.
Yeah, but coupled with the sand and the sun, there's still something that draws them.
I might not agree on certain things, but I think in this case I'll agree with
sand and sun more than for the Indi.
Part of it.
Okay.
Gambian food. Why, the problem that we have in the Gambia, there is nothing to see. Not Kunta Kinte Island. The place is dilapidated, it's dead. You understand? Abuko Nature Reserve is dead. Wasu is dead. So, I mean, there is nothing to see. Then if you say sand and sunlight, I will agree.
Anyway, I'm due to time constraints.
I am not saying it. I'm really telling
He's basing it on facts.
Afterwards, you can go on Google. It's very simple, really, to go and read about this.
It's sad that, I mean,
anyway, thank you so much,
was only for sand
and it's always good to have him here. On a daily basis, we get to learn new things. Mom, did you go there by Mom, hanga misari rabde ñoo nañu yen rombalen waaye mom baye wuñu ko dafa defante ñun ba ci last dot
onkole xale.
So we'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by Abibatu Cisse, and she'll be talking about the Brikama Road construction project, which we're not sure, but with this video, and if she comes here, she will get to tell us what this project can bring in the community of Brikama, who is funding it, and all of that. So let's take a look at this story by Abibatu Cisse, and when we come back, she'll be here to educate us more on this particular project in Brikama.
Brikama, in the West Coast region, is one of the largest settlements in the Gambia. It has banks, a hospital, the governor's office, the Gambia College, the fire service, petrol stations, and one of the busiest markets in the country. Some of the roads leading to these important public amenities and institutions have become dilapidated over time, making access a challenge for both drivers and pedestrians. This warranted the council to reconstruct the roads. Lamin Bajo, Regional Forestry Officer for the West Coast region, says the road was in a deplorable state, making it difficult for market vendors, drivers, and other road users, especially in the rainy season.
People, donkey carts and even wheelbarrow owners, they're always fighting here because everybody wants to pass a small gap that is better. But right now, as you can see, no one is fighting. Everybody is moving freely, up and down. So this is definitely a good thing. And we can see now if we have things to be delivered to us, it is easy for the deliverer to come in straight and deliver it.
Bamba Sora and Sute Samate, businessmen at the market, explains the importance of the roads.
This road leads to the hospital, the police station, and Nana Junction, and many people use it. The area council has done a great job. We really suffered during the rainy season. All the tailoring shops on this road got flooded because the roads were too bad. We thank God now.
Karamba Suso is another businessman. The construction of the roads, he says, is a good initiative and urges the council to construct more gutters for easy passage of rainwater.
We are still affected by the water, but not like in the past. However, we still want the council to continue their good work.
Awasise Jagan and Arabiatu Marong are also businesswomen who shared their thoughts. The road was full of holes, which becomes inundated with water when it rains. So, we thank God that the road is constructed, but we want all other roads to be constructed like this one. This whole place used to be full of water, which reaches knee level. This affects our businesses. Now that this road is constructed, it will be beneficial to the business people. Fode Manjang and Weye Cham, the PRO of the Brikama Market Committee, thanked the council for the new roads. The council collects taxes for the West Coast region, which is plowed back to communities in development projects. Now we're joined by Abibatu Cisse now we have a, we know what this project is all about, and it is constructed by the Brikama Area Council, and we see different members of the community talking about how beneficial this particular project will be. I know we saw the interviews, but just to further add on to the perception of the people in relation to this particular road, I'm sure there are things you can add different from what people are telling us, considering you've been there and you've just interacted with everyone. Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me here. It's my first time here, so I hope to engage you guys. Well.
Yeah, we are family.
Yeah. First of all, Brikama Area Council is one of the largest local governments in the Gambia. It covers a wide range of areas, from Lamen to Kalaji. That is large.
Yeah.
So Brikama is one of the largest settlements in the West Coast, and it has many social amenities like banks, petrol stations, the University of the Gambia, where we both attended.
Yes, right.
The Gambia College,
yeah.
And even the regional office of West Coast is in Brikama. So that means it's a very large area. So looking at this area, the roads leading to some of these social amenities like the hospital and even the police stations are
like in a deplorable state.
In a deplorable state.
Yeah, they're not looking good at all.
Yeah.
They're not looking good at all. And you've been able to interact with them. And they're telling you how this will bring a lot of development, especially businesswomen. What are businesswomen saying?
Well, they give their own side of the story. They said despite the many criticisms about the Brikama Area Council, this project is really a success because in the rainy season, most of them said the rainwater usually comes up to their knee area.
Right.
But then right now, they are not facing some of those problems. And some of them said they need more gutters to be able to really drain those water, especially during the rainy season.
Right.
So those are some of the things that they said, but they really appreciated the fact that the Brikama Area Council is doing well in terms of infrastructure, even though I know they need to step up their game. Like in your voice.
Yeah, step up their game, right? There has been a lot of complaint about it.
Actually, Brikama Area Council, I'm not a fan of them anyway. I'm honestly, I live in Lamen, and definitely, all the tax we're paying, it's going to Brikama Area Council.
But looking at the fact that it is a large area, so they have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, but that is not an excuse. Yes, that is not an excuse for them not to do what needs to be done.
I am surprised to know they collect their taxes from Senegambia area. It's all under Brikama Area Council. It's good that they are stepping up and doing such a thing, helping, because when you look at the condition of the market before, it was crazy. I went to Brikama these days. When I saw the road they were constructing, I said, wow, this is very good. They are coming up gradually. But I think as a big council, Brikama Area Council should do better.
Yes. But Ibrahima, we should also talk about something. Most of the time we complain that most of these projects are funded by donors. It is also good to know that the Brikama Area Council is funding this project from Brikama Area Council coffers, meaning taxpayers. Yes, so you can elaborate on that.
They have been doing that because last year during the windstorm, they gave out $1 million. No. $500,000 to windstorm victims in the West Coast region. Right. That is a form of giving back to the communities. Yeah. They've also
signed an MOU with mining communities in the West Coast region, the Gunjurs and the Sanyans, especially those communities that have been affected with mining. 20% of the revenue collected will be given back to those communities. So I think that is also another
but how is it done? Development. But the question we keep on asking, how is it done? How are these things done? Are we seeing them? Are the proper procedures looked at? Just yesterday we saw how the public committee there at the National Assembly is talking about non-compliance with procurement and all of these things. So all of these things tend to matter as to how they follow these processes. Where is the money going into? You know, is this done well? The quality of the roads constructed, did you engage them in relation to quality? I know we've been talking a lot about the OIC quality, but it also goes down to community level.
Exactly.
Like at the Brikama Area Council, what are they saying about?
I've seen the roads compared to before. It's way different compared to before. Because that time when I go to the market, Genova is so terrible in the rainy season. You can't even have a way to pass. That is how terrible it is. You see people, donkey drivers, the pedestrians fighting over who to pass first. You know, that is crazy. So right now, those kind of things are not happening. Even if they are happening, but it has lessened quite a lot. So I think, let's give the devil its due.
So we should give them a thumbs up.
No,
let's give the devil its due. They are really trying.
Javi, before we give the devil its due, it's important you give the devil its due. But you have to look at the devil. If this devil is to be given...
Brikama la lolu nga wara understand.
Te Brikama
te yow tamit waa West Coast bi te moom tamit waa West Coast bi man maa war a criticize man mi dëkkul West Coast.
Suma school yëpp Brikama laa ko defee. Suma bu ma doon dem school yëpp Brikama laa ne. Why sometimes I sit and wonder, what are they doing? Honestly, you know, Nekut man, I know someone is sitting out there and watching and saying, Balde, I agree with you. You know, why this is just the beginning of their project.
Wow. I engaged the PRO on that, and he told me that they are really improving because they bought 8-minute trucks for waste collection, and you know, waste management is a problem in Brikama, especially in the rainy season. Gentlemen, I will emphasize this. In the rainy season, Brikama is a no-go area because it's just terrible in the rainy season. I've done a story on that, and I guess you've all seen the story, how terrible the market was.
We had a market story, market series, something that we...
So that is just unbearable. But then, I guess they will step up their
game. They will try.
She's stealing my money. Step up their game.
As far as Habib, they are coming up. I mean, they are doing such kind of projects. I mean, helping. All that we want is for you to help our people, our community. When you look at women, their situations in the market, I mean, it have now improved as far as they're talking about it. Now the tone have changed because it's like a few years ago it was different. This was a very bad road. I mean, I know this road. It was a very bad one. You know, you cannot. I think this is the road that leads to the hospital area. You know, it's difficult.
And for referrals, it is also very difficult because looking at the fact that the hospital is right beside the market is over congested. When there are referrals for people to go for treatment in Banjul, it's always a problem.
Well, this is the problem. You see, planning is very important. You see, from the beginning, I mean, you need to know how to plan. The hospital should be here. The market should be at the other area.
And even the fire service.
The hospital
is right behind the market.
The hospital, the market, and the fire service, they are all at the same area. So it's difficult.
But Pere, that is why we talk about the fact that for healthcare to be up there, infrastructure as well needs to be really good, just so we'll be able to achieve the proper healthcare that we need. Like all of these things are connected in a way. So Abby, thank you so much. He's so hard on the Brikama Area Council.
But
we've been as a program.
They are doing great. They are doing great.
They're trying now.
They are trying. They are really trying. They embark on frequent exercises to clean up the area and all of that. I think they deserve a thumbs up.
Kii dañ ko jël mu dem nekk PRO yi Brikama Area Council.
That's what you guys always.
Pour yow soo nekkut PRO yi Brikama dañ la attach nga nekk seen.
I'm suspecting.
No, man dama suspect ne kii seen communication
officer. joxuñ la appointment as the PRO.
I just have to say the facts. That's the truth. You know, sometimes it's not only about criticizing. It's also important to acknowledge the good things that people are doing. It's not only about criticizing.
No,
it's not only about criticizing.
It's important we criticize sometimes. Xam nga soo leen criticize dañoo toog ñu ne def nañ project bi jeex na nit yi ñu ñoo taacul dafa jeex. The project is good. You can go ahead with it. Why we want more of these things. I mean, because soo seetee nekkul Brikama market bi rek la yooni bot. Am na yenn place yooyu dem Jamisa, am na yeneen place yooyu dem, you know, even Wellingara.
But
Your area.
Abi has done a good job.
I mean, the road that leads to my house, my in-laws' house. Hamga.
Level bobo. Anyway, I just need to say you've done a good job. The reason why I'm saying you've done a good job is you follow. It's good to follow up on these things.
I'm always doing stories on Brikama. Sometimes people will tell me, "Are you the Brikama area council's correspondent?"
Communications officer. But I think it's a good thing that you're following up, because sometimes you report on the deplorable state, and then when development happens, you tend to follow up to say, "Oh, this has been done."
That is why I said they've improved, because I've done several stories. And now I've seen the difference.
And you're just being honest. And honesty is part of journalism ethics.
Abinega improve Thumbs up to Brikama Area Council.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much, Abi, for joining us for the first time. I hope you enjoyed it. You did?
Yeah.
All right.
I was quite nervous, but
no, you're fine. You're totally fine.
We'll be having you here.
Yeah, you're quite fine. So we will take a short commercial break, and when we come back, we'll head right onto social issues. We'll be taking a look at how in 10 years, only 18% of the Great Green Wall ambition has been achieved. We'll be right back.
Want it? Order for it and pay quickly using Quick Pay on the QMoney platform. With great technology comes ease and convenience. Get a glimpse of what a comfortable life is with QMoney by dialing *323# now. Call 133 for more information. QMoney, Sunyu Kalpe.
I am the light goddess. Everything I touch turns into light. I am the light at the end of the tunnel, and my technology is the answer. I am the happiness in your life. I keep you connected, and I am Q Power. I am QCell. I am Sunyabos. We innovate, others follow. Call 111 for more information.
With so many things to do in a single day, it's important to have a network you can trust. When there's family and friends to connect with and business calls to make, you need a network that is reliable and fast. Talk longer, browse faster, go farther, and roam wider. When your network is solid, the world is your oyster. QCell, your trusted network in the Gambia.
Nga jot sa xaalis si num gëna gaawé te yobba légui ak Ria mun nga jot sa xaalis bayeko sa bitim réew ci sa QMoney te doo ci fay dara boo jotee ab xibaar ci sa téléphone bi ne jot nga koppar bu bayeko sa bitim réew mun nga dem seet QMoney agent bu la gëna jege jot sa xaalis te doo ci fay dara bu la neexee mun nga koo jëndee crédit Q Power wala jëfandikoo ak yeneen QMoney service yi gaaw na wóor na te noppale na pour am si lu la wóor woo ñu si 133 QMoney suñu kalpe lii dafa ànd ak sarta.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning from Community Watch on Brikama Road Construction Project. Now we're heading right onto social issues and talking about how only 18% of the Great Green Wall ambition has been achieved so far. Over the weekend, Green Up Gambia, in collaboration with the British High Commission, did a documentary screening of the Great Green Wall. And here we're joined by Maimuna Jabi. Thank you so much for joining us. Always in the forefront when it comes to talking about environmental issues, particularly the Great Green Wall.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes. So can you just take us through what the Green Wall, Great Green Wall is all about? I just feel like Gambians are not really au fait with this. If you talk to people in other countries, I can remember when we attended the COP, it was a topic, Great Green Wall, people talking about it. But the Gambian here, Nini, Manfogumane, they know.
In fact, when you talk about Green Wall,
Great Green Wall,
what comes to their mind, the mental picture they have, you cannot.
Right now, that's my mental picture.
But when you talk about Green Wall, what I think about is the environment, how to safeguard our natural resources.
On track.
Yes, but family come you bury hamunko. So we will start by tell us about the Green Wall.
Thank you. You're perfectly right. A lot of the people here don't know about the Great Green Wall, even though other African countries know about it. So it's actually the most ambitious project ever in the world, and it is pioneered by the African Union for the past 10 years. So the reason why the message have not been getting to the people is because we know the climate frontline or even most issues around the world have been on the topics of the diplomats on the they have been in the speeches and not the people that actually matter, who actually driving these solutions. Their voices have not been heard. And that is why we here, not as Green Up Gambia, but as the Great Green Wall Frontline and the Green Up Gambia being the implementing partner here, is we now take the message, or we take even the action, because if we want to solve climate crisis, it's climate action. So we take the action from the diplomats and the bureaucrats, even the access to funding for the frontliners to get, and give it to the people that matters. And when we say the frontline, we mean the farmers on the ground who are actually adapting to climate change. With the Sahel, with the rising temperatures and the sea level rises, is the farmers that are losing their lands, is the flooding, is the salination. They're the ones being affected by it. And evolution would tell you that if human beings are exposed to adverse effects, they adapt better. So these people have local knowledges of adapting better. And of course, the activists that are actually speaking about these issues, and the scientists that are even talking about this issue. So now we're taking the movement, or we're taking the Great Green Wall, with 10 years being wasted on 18% just being afforested. And it's just an 8,000 kilometers stretch of land, of trees that we're building across the equator. We know the equator is the hottest part of the world. And climate change affected the Sahel region, which is where we are. And the Sahel is actually the medium from the forest of the African equatorial and the vegetations of the equatorial forests and the Sahara Desert. So the Great Green Wall is here to stop the encroachment of the desert into the Sahel, to make sure that it serves as a barrier, and of course to stop the desert from coming, to reduce carbon emission, and of course to reduce the high temperatures. This would in turn ensure, or the impact that it will have actually would be for people, would be for the creation of at least 100 million jobs. We know with the forest come more biodiversity. We know with the forest come more jobs. With the forest, in our schools, we are like, what does the forest give you? It gives you shelter, it gives you food, and everything that you will need. So the Great Green Wall is here to make sure this becomes a reality, and for the people that actually matter, the people that are doing the work, for their voices to be heard, and for them to be represented.
But the question is, what different is the Great Green Wall Frontline going to do? I mean, you talked about bringing in fresh energy to, give the tools and the money to the people that matter. But what route are you going to use? Because this is the same ambition that the Great Green Wall itself had, and it didn't work. They were able to achieve only 18%. So how are you going to do this? Like some people say, talk is cheap. Exactly. So how can we ensure that we go down the grassroots with exactly what you're saying? That's the big question here. Of course.
And that actually starts first by our approach, which is one, the climate agenda to stop being in the hands of diplomats, to stop being in the hands of politicians. They can be enablers because they provide the ecosystem, they provide the environment for us to thrive in these issues, but they don't know the problems. So now, the approach will be the one with the messaging, how we're doing this. So the first thing we do actually, we organize district assemblies. And why the Gambia, actually initially we were not even part of the Great Green Wall. Why the Gambia became an important and key structure is one, because of our unique structure of the River Gambia, which is very similar to the equator. So the Gambia will be doing the pilot to see the feasibility of the Great Green Wall, to see how the models and the enterprising models here could be reflected or could be remodeled in other parts of Africa later. And similarly also with the district assemblies, we talk with the chief people, the local communities, the traditional leaders. We organize talks with them, the women like we were talking about, because we know women actually made a whole demograph, and even they're the drivers of the economy in agriculture and climate issues. So we talk to them and they tell us their problems, they tell us the solution. And of course we have very existing models that are actually working with how you could see in the documentary with Senegal foresting about 100 hectares of land. Ethiopia after the famine, how they have been actually been able to build back reserve water using local and traditional knowledge. So these are the things we're embarking on. And of course, taking community knowledge to the front line, making sure the people's voices are heard by them building a blueprint, which is now is the people telling the government and the politicians, this is the solution we want. And it has been working for us. Now we just need to scale it up. And of course, with the jobs and the sustainable livelihood, these are coming from, this is going to make sure it's the sustainability of it. And finally, is the messaging tool. We don't want conferences anymore. We don't want workshops.
We don't want workshops.
They are very costly, and then they take a lot of our energy, and it's all talk. After all,
I think conferences are not effective.
They're not effective, exactly. Yeah. So as you could see, our means of messaging now have been, one, of course, the means of digital tools, but two, like we're talking about, the community district assemblies that we have in, which is actually like a preliminary to the citizen assembly. So this is where we use the traditional Kenyans for them to translate these messages. And of course, you saw Ina Moja, who is actually the ambassador of the Great Green Wall from Mali. She fuses the traditional instruments, and we know when we watched the documentary, it was the part that actually made all of us emotional, because African traditional instruments speak to us, is in our lineage. Like, so it's us going back to those and fusing them with modern tools. And then Ina has been able to use musical instrument by an album in different languages, in Ethiopia, Niger, Mali, Senegal, even the Gambia when she comes here, to cooperate with local artists and then make sure these people have the influence in the people, the young people are able to reflect through these messages, and now they'll become the agent of change. And of course, we also have our popular solar bus, which now wherever you say it with the brand and the logo, wherever it goes, we're not busy distributing t-shirts. It's a solar bus that goes to the remotest communities, and then we screen the documentary, because human beings are very visual, and with the documentary you get to know about what this movement is about and how you can see it, and you get to be inspired about the different models that are existing. So this would translate the message with you in 1.5 hours instead of a whole day workshop. So these are the means we're trying, and of course with the digital part, where we're using digital tools and technologies to actually measure, because we're not just talking here, we're trying, it's an experiment. So we need data to back us, we need the tools that would enable the success of this. So we're using technology and Google Mapping to actually software that will tell us the biodiversity increment, the trees that have been recovered, the species available.
So talking about success, Ibrahima, currently in the Gambia we have too many organizations for environment. It's overwhelming. Like wherever you go, these people are doing environment for women, environment for children, environment for this. Like, I'm not saying we should not have all of these organizations, but everybody trying to fight for the same things. And Nyungini, Great Green Wall, people do not even know what it means. I'm going to understand that.
So I was certain information. Thinking, what are you people doing to let people know about this Green Wall?
And beyond that, to also complete my question, beyond that, what can be done? I know there's an environmental alliance at the end of the day, but that is not enough for me, considering all of these organizations are already existing and tapping money from different places, and the message is not even where it's supposed to be.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think it's really a good thing with the whole environments coming up, and that has been mostly due to the political arena changing, because we know with the freedom of speech and all of that. And with environment, it's more of a community base, and I would think that would be the most of the reasons why there's a lot of eco and green associations. And what we do, and the model we've been seeing here, not even as Great Greenwald, but as a civil society organization in the Gambia, is collaborating. When we have events, I've worked in a lot of sectors, and I've been a part of a lot of coordination teams. And what I've seen in the environmental or ecosystem here is very unique. It's one of the few organizations or few sectors where you would organize an event, people would come, you don't finance them, they're driven by passion. It's the spirit of volunteerism.
Really?
And it's action. And I think that's really a plus that we have. And that is what have actually contributed to the Gambia being on the map as the only country in the world in line with the Paris Agreement.
Yeah.
So because that have been mostly due to Momodu Inke, just one Gambian, and his team in LRR reforesting the mangroves, about 10 hectares in the last 10 years. So these are the community actions, and they're really encouraged. And of course, but when it comes to lobbying, getting funds, like you said, because we're all tapping from the same place, the collaborations really help, and that is what we've been doing, and I would really encourage more of it. Is this period of unionism that have actually made an impact. For instance, for Green Up Gambia, our model is that we don't go to communities to tell them we're the expert. We go to them and then we ask them, what do you want? And then all of our programs, apart from the combo, even the combo, they are implemented not by us. They're implemented by, for instance, if we're working with the school, they're implemented by the school coordinators. If we're working with villages, they're implemented by the youth organizations or the women organizations. So I think this is the traction that we really need to take by amplifying the local capability on the ground, because they live in the community and they know, and then you just make them the custodians, you make them responsible for their communities, and then give them the tools needed instead of you taking all for yourself and then becoming the expert. So it's the trajectory, and I really think it's very good. And with in terms of how do we make sure the Great Greenwald messaging is reaching the people? Like I said earlier, the the district assemblies, as we know, Gambia has about 40+ districts. So we're doing this in all of the communities, and we're actually based in Nyomi, so we are very in touch with the community on the ground there, and there's trips going around. We are based in Nyomi, one, not because of our office and because of it's like we don't want to arrange official meetings to meet with the chiefs. We want to live with them. We want them to know that Kemo is from Nyomi, Maimuna is from Sarakona. We are all Gambians. It's not to Babs white people coming to brainwash you and give you more money. This is you. This is the farmland that you're losing. And they will tell you the realities, the animals that are lost, how far they used to go, how near they used to go before to collect firewood, and now how far they would go, because they're seeing these changes. And of course, with the screening, the documentary, we're screening it in different places. It's available online. We organized last week also with the British High Commission. We called on all CSOs, all diplomats and different stakeholders for them to watch the screening. And of course, with the bus, which goes to all of the villages. It's solar powered, of course, and then so it can play anywhere, whether they have electricity or not. So these are the community actions that we're talking about.
So Maimuna, talking about the documentary, we can't play the documentary, obviously, but we have the trailer. So we'll just play the trailer just to show people, you know, what the Great Greenwald Frontline is trying to show in this particular documentary. So let's take a look at that, and when we come back, the conversation continues here.
Is embattled by desertification and drought, migration and conflict. Restoring the land is a matter of survival. It's up to us to create an African dream.
We're talking about revitalizing the ecosystem, the economy of communities and villages. The future generation will hold us accountable.
If people can't work their land, millions across the region will be forced to migrate.
Le convoyeur va te donner à un autre convoyeur. Tu es déjà vendu à ce convoyeur sans te rendre compte. J'ai eu 4 amis qui ont pris la balle.
ራዕይ ካብ ችግር ንምውላድ ብሁሉ እዚ ዙርያ መለሽ በዓልቲ ናይ ነሰፋነ እጃችንና ጉልበታችን ብቻ
The Great Green Wall, it's not just about planting trees. It has to become a movement from the whole continent, from the whole world.
The Great Green Wall is not just about planting trees, but it has to be a movement. And considering it's not just about Gambia, this spans from Senegal up to Djibouti. So it is a collective responsibility for us to be able to achieve. But like Ibrahim has said, it's not something that's known to people. And one thing that we forgot to talk about generally has to do with migration. How, you know, the loss of land, you know, the fact that we cannot cultivate, we can't be food self-sufficient is making young people go to other countries in search for greener pasture. In that particular video, we saw how people are trafficked from one transporter to another. I think young people need to also understand that, just so they're encouraged to also go back to the land, you know, with the incentives that we need, obviously.
Exactly. And like in the video, like you mentioned, one of the boys was asked, he's a farmer, and then he's asked, like, would you walk on this land like your brother is? He's like, if there is work, I would. But if there isn't no work, which literally means they're losing the land. So if there's no land to cultivate, if the nutrients are going with the floodings that are happening, or even just drought. We saw how 800,000 people died during the drought in Ethiopia, but they've been able to build back from that. So this is the same spirit. And one thing I just want to highlight here is that when we talk about environmental problems, you don't need to be an environmental activist to talk about it. You don't need to work in environment to talk about it. Because we're talking about this planet and we all live here. Be it you're a musician or whatever you are. Like I said earlier, your food is coming from it, your economy. And climate justice or climate activism now is directly linked to key social issues like migration, but most importantly, even gender and education. For instance, in Mali, in Nigeria, when the Great Green Wall Project, the most impactful that it had, the African Union one, was that there was more enrollment of students, especially girls, into the school that was existing. That was because now they're not being used to have alternative means of income. They're not being used to hawk on the street. Now, because the family, the mother is being able to get in her farm, among the trees, among the agroforestry centers that are set up, business is booming and the young men are staying. Because like the UNDP report would tell you, the scaling fence, that migrants, they're not people that are not uneducated without a job or anything. It's people whose the opportunities, their ambitions have actually gone beyond their opportunities available. And I think addressing climate change, making sure that young people actually realize their role in this. Because we're not talking about old people, we're talking about our future. 30 years ago, a generation have changed, and the thousands of covers of trees that we have lost have actually impacted us one way or the other. So if we set up, we're talking about losing our jobs, we're talking about being sick all the time due to the unfavorable conditions, and of course as women we're talking about going back to all of the biasness and all of the social injustice that were against us, which actually even includes domestic violence. So it has a whole cross-sector effect, and we really need to be very careful when we're talking about this. And talking about sectors that the Great Green Wall actually covers, Africa, actually, there have been no official monument or a big monument to actually recognize the transatlantic slave trade, which actually is like an injustice to us, because it's like people are forgetting not our actual history, but it's still our history. And we are here remembering Holocaust, we're remembering all other atrocities that happen around the world, but people would rather forget about the slave trade. So the Great Green Wall also have a model where also the 30 million trees across the 8,000 hectares, it's actually going to be built by diasporans, built by Africans themselves. This is not a government or NGO funded. Our business, our funding model is actually based on, of course, the screening, making so people pay for it, and all the different means of enterprising, but also African descendants actually putting their money. If getting $1 from 1 million diasporan Americans or 1 million Africans is easier than getting $1 million from, let's say, the UN. So this is the model that we're talking about. It's also about engaging people to be a part of this movement.
Well, Jenaba, recently you attended the COP26.
Right, she was there as well.
Yes, she was there as well.
Yeah.
I think it's, if we are serious to fight climate change, it's important for big countries to be part of it. But I understand some of these big countries, I mean, were invited and some of them don't even attend the
Yeah, like Maimuna is laughing. The thing is, we always talk about this, even on this platform all the time, the fact that these things that we are doing is not caused by us. Having the Great Green Wall from Senegal to Djibouti, it's not us, it's not on us, you know, but we are facing the effects. That is why most of the time we talk about climate financing. You know, we stress on these things because they are supposed to put in money, you know, when it comes to these things. And you're right, you know, during the COP26, we saw that a huge number of fossil fuel and coal companies decided not to show up because they know they do not want to make that bold compromise. So yeah, I think you're quite right that
it's like profits over people.
Exactly.
Well, so it's a problem, and I think this will keep going on, and you will be having the COP27 again. So I think if we are to be very serious when it comes to fighting climate change and improving our lives when it comes to standing for our environment, it involves a whole lot of cooperation.
But hey, the thing is, it starts from us. What do you do to protect the environment as an individual? Because I know you don't report on environment, so what else do you do to make sure the environment is protected?
For me, I don't cut down trees. I don't destroy the soil. I mean,
do you litter?
No, I don't litter.
Are you sure?
No, I don't. I'm not that. I'm not that litter type.
I'm just teasing him.
So I think it's important. It's a whole lot of responsibility.
Yeah, and it starts
so
from
I'll just ask you, what are some of the challenges that you face when it comes to maybe advocating for climate change?
Yeah. So in the Gambia here, it will be, of course, the low awareness, not actually, people are aware, but in their own terms, because they know the problems, like I said, they're facing. And we know 46% of the Gambia is rural areas and 80% is agriculture. So the people are really aware of it. But now it's about the way that the messaging is being delivered, the way people have approached the whole environmental scene or sustainable approaches. And people actually, the expectation they were having from you is that, okay, you just choose a few of us and then we eat the money together, because that is what has been happening. So it's about the people that are even being affected, not benefiting from it. And that has made our messaging difficult, because you will go to one end, you'll find they're very defensive. They're like, people come here, they lie to us, we don't benefit, and they take our money. Then some will tell you they come, they cut down our forest, they give us just $15,000 to one person, maybe the chief or the alcalo, and he ate it, and the whole village actually
suffers from it.
Agreed for the forest to, these forest trees to be removed. So that makes our work really difficult, and we try to, that's why we said using local community actors, people already in the communities, to do the messaging. And of course, when it comes to the whole political scene, which I hope I'm allowed to say.
But is there political will?
The political will, it's very, very less. The Gambia, when it comes to on paper, we're very good. We have agreed to all the biodiversity acts, all of the agreements. We're really protected when it comes to paper. But when it comes to action, it's really a problem.
Yes,
we all know about the
monkeypox
saga.
Yes, thank you so much, Maimuna, for joining us on the program. I'm afraid we have to let you go because of time, but we really appreciate this. I think those that are watching this program and never heard of the Great Green Wall, today you have something to take with you today, and as well as the Great Green Wall Frontline, which is obviously bringing fresh minds like Maimuna here, trying to give the tools and the money to the people that it should be given to, obviously the people in frontline communities. Thank you so much, Maimuna. This has been amazing. So we'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll head right on to Click segment. Do stay tuned.
nga noro tarale birin dunia be datila ada ben na baluwo konole nsulata noro pour kanna do kuwolke kanna bungol lo kanna fengol fi hanim fanan kanna kanunyol je noro ka kuol sone yandi woto kiusel ya kiu power sanya kutole nati isela kas power sotono katabake anin nyin kiusel la nyin kod kuto ila dunia malandi anin nyin star 363 has katabake hanna tara ibela suwo kono ila office ko anin dulalo star 363 has command sign Q power ki la dunia mala malandi Qsel suñu boss ntolle nga silo walang dole mol noma Begin your SUV life. S-Pass Motors, the new authorized dealer for Kia. Visit us today or call us on 3522 222 353 2222.
With so many things to do in a single day, it's important to have a network you can trust. When there's family and friends to connect with and business calls to make, you need a network that is reliable and fast. Talk longer, browse faster, go farther, and roam wider. When your network is solid, the world is your oyster. Qcell, your trusted network in the Gambia.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. And now we're joined by Churchill Balde, heading right on to our click segment.
Thank you very much.
Butakala. Butakala.
Good morning, viewers out there. If you're just joining us, this is This Morning Show. And I'm proud to be a host. I go by the name Churchill Balde on the click segment. Now, on today's episode, we have a very special guest. His music is different. He is a very different artist, different from the usual. So today I'm joined by Manjago superstar Jakos.
Yeah.
What up, bro?
I'm fine, man.
Butakalo.
Belong.
How are you this morning?
I'm fine.
So you had your breakfast before coming?
Yeah,
are you ready for the morning show? This is the morning show where you spit everything.
I ate mbahal before coming.
Mbahal? But mbahal is not your traditional dish. Is mbahal your traditional dish?
It's African food, so. Yeah.
Okay, nice. So let me just allow you to greet your fans out there, and then we go on with the interview.
Yeah, greeting Gambians. It's like Jakos, Abuk Chabu. Yo.
Jakos?
Representing Gambia, so.
Come again, Jakos?
Abuku Chabu.
Abuku Chabu.
Yeah.
Abuku Chabu. I find that name weird, like the normal name out there, artist name. So the Abuku Chabu, is it a Manjago name or?
Yeah, it's a Manjago traditional surname.
Okay.
You know, we have our own origin surname, so I'm a book Chabu, like Domi Chabu.
Oh.
The son of Chabu.
The son of Chabu.
Yeah, the son of a king and all that stuff.
So, so you are a king in the making?
Yeah, I'm a king already, not in the making. So
nice.
Yeah.
You sing in your native language, that is Manjago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Share your experience in the Gambia here. Like we have few of them, like the Gorgolu, and I'm getting to know of you. So share your experience being in Manjago here in the Gambia, singing in your native language.
I think before I started singing in English when I was in my village.
Okay.
I'm not far from Brikama.
Nice.
And Brikama is a reggae town, so I like doing reggae and dancehall and all that. So when I came into Serakunda here and all that, so I started singing in reggae and all that. It was not going that much, although people started knowing me, and that's how the name Jakos come.
Jakos.
So I was like, people always advise and all that. We don't have that guy who's representing the Manjaco, who's bringing out that culture and all that. So you have to start doing something. You can speak Manjaco, you are vocal in it and all that. Why not? But it was like, it was so challenging. At the end of the day, I get into it, and then it was not working before because people were like, you can't go because Gambian, the Manjacos don't support, they don't do this, they don't do that. But I believe in it, and I start pushing it, I start pushing it. Up to now, it's getting better.
Yeah, other tribes have been represented by artists. The Fula over there, the Mandinka over there, we have the likes of ST and all that. So the Manjagos want to feel represented. Nice. So what we'll do...
At the end of the day, it's Gambian culture.
It's Gambian culture, right.
So
nice. So what we'll do, we'll just go for a short break, watch your music video, and we'll be right back with Jacos. Stay tuned.
Boy, I'm a girl on the beat. Abuka Chabo Tiburun, yeah. Ochimnal in them lentino. Billy, ya canante. Ochim in them lentino. Billy, ya canante. Ya canante. She looks so special, she looks so natural, yeah. Come on, dance, give me African dance. Come on, whine, give me African wine.
Welcome back from that nice, beautiful video from my brother Jacos. How do you feel, bro?
Yeah, I feel good, man.
Nice.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that music video. How did you come up with that concept? Because it seems different from the usual.
Yeah,
and I'm trying to find it very difficult to put you in a box, like to place you in a box. When it comes to your genre of music. Yeah. So what kind of genre is that?
I would call it Afrobeat, and
Okay,
Afrobeat.
Okay, and then to the question. How did you come up with that concept? It's very nice, beautiful, simple, with the kids playing over there, adults dancing to the song.
Yeah,
how did it all come about?
Yeah, the song is called African Beauty. I'm a kind of person who always represent women out there and all that, trying to promote that beauty and all that. So it's talk about a rich guy and a poor guy and all that coming together in the same neighborhood and trying to connect and all that. So it's about promoting that beauty.
That African beauty.
Yeah, that African beauty.
Nice. I went to through your profile. I found out that you had a collaboration with Americo Gomez.
Yeah,
an international superstar. He is well known internationally.
Yeah, he's one of the biggest, and we are looking up to him.
You're looking up to him.
Since when I was young, when I was not even yet born.
Nice.
And that guy was doing music and all that. So I have an opportunity to invite him in my own platform, and he came to the Gambia last year. That was 2021, and we did a concert at Q City.
Okay.
Which was dope and all that.
So who linked you with him? How did the connection
I
come
work
about?
with a lot of promoters out there.
Okay.
And all that, because they started knowing me and all that. So it's where the connection come. And they also follow me because they see the work that I always do here. Because I create my own platforms that I always celebrate every year, annually. And then it's always successful and all that. So they know that I'm doing good here, and they always want to come in and all that. So that's how we get to know each other. Yeah.
So who are the other international artists that you are looking forward to work with?
I think I'm having a big thing coming, and we call it the Big Festival. That is happening next week, Saturday. That's 12 February at Manjai Park. It's starting from 5 to till morning and all that. So we are I have the opportunity again to invite Sylvester Gomez, invite Gigi Malaika, big Carlos and my brothers in the Gambia. So we're gonna celebrate it to the max.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
And who are some of the local artists that you are working with right now?
Right now, not yet. Not yet. You know. But in the festival,
there is a saying that goes dance a yard before you dance a bride.
Yeah, I do.
So
I released a project.
Okay.
I released a project last year. That is Umbontarinji EP. I did a song with Sophia.
Sorry, come again.
Umbontarinji.
Mate, can you elaborate, translate?
Umbontarinji mean my freedom, my happiness, and all that.
Freedom.
My liberty,
Okay.
yeah, and all that. So I did a song.
I'm hearing someone say. You know, you have Manjago people here representing right now.
Most of them will not know that meaning Umbontarinji. If you ask some of them, they'll say, "Oh, that is a new word to me."
Someone made a sound. Meaning it's a disagreement.
Who is that?
Someone here. I don't know.
Okay. My last question. So, time Jenna.
That's a very good
Is it
word.
true? Hey, Hinjago do they?
That's a
so I want to fight with Hinjago. No, let him answer. So answer like Mandina by.
I think so mune defereje.
So mune
Njago.
Yeah, defereje.
So mune Njago defereje. Meaning to fight that back.
I'm sure.
Okay, so film like any time be lila nyume. So just drop your last words for the show.
Yeah, I'm calling on everyone. I'm not representing only the Manjakos. And sometimes I don't like the word Manjako artist and all that. I'm a Gambian. And I'm just bringing my culture. The one doing it in Mandinka, the one doing it Fula, the one doing it in Sarukule. We are bringing our culture together. We are representing, at the end of the day, we are representing Gambia. At the end of the day, it's Gambian music that we rep. So when people put me aside and say, oh, it's a Manjako artist, I'm a Gambian artist. I'm part of Gambia. I'm a Gambian.
Here I think you should not put yourself in that circle first. You are a Manjako.
No, I don't.
You are an artist.
I'm an artist. Representing a culture, trying to bring a culture.
Exactly.
No,
that
for me, I think it's just an identity. I don't think there's a big there's much of a problem in that.
Yeah.
People want to identify you.
Yeah. No, here in the Gambia, people always said, like when I have a concert, they will say, oh, we know the Manjakos will come. Okay. So it means that they are not coming and all that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I'm calling on everybody. Come on February 12th at Manjai Park. It's a big festival, we said. So come, let's celebrate.
Okay, thank you so much, viewers. Till we come your way tomorrow with another interesting episode. Bye for now.
bu ne yelloo na ndox mu set te ndox mu set dafa bokk ci dunni doomu aadama te biir kat amul seetu waral na lépp lu fay dugg dafa war a doon li nga xamante ne ni lu indil doomu aadama bi loraange ci wàllu wérugu yaram One Stop Water Solution Limited ñu ngi fii ci biir réew taxaw temm fexe pour gis ne doomu aadama bu ne di nga naan ndox moo xamante ne ni ndex mu sell te wóor la ndax indil nañ leen ay xeetu filtres yi nga xamante ne ni mun ngeen koy jëfandikoo ci seeni pompe yi ci biir réew moo xam booxool ngay jëfandikoo wala pompe nawek yi ne pour xeetu filtre bi nga xamante ne ni dina la indil wérgu yaram musal la ci loraange amal nañ leen ko ci biir réew am nañ 10-inch filter set of 3 bii nag ñett lay àndal bu ci ne ak li muy liggéey bokk na ci 5 micron pp sediment filter bii nag mooy segg ndox mi ba mu set génne fa lépp li nga xamante ne ni warta ànd ak ndox moomu bala nga koy jëfandikoo gak granule carbon filter bii nag mooy segg génne lépp lu xeetoog chemical ak organique yi nga xamante ne ñoom ñoo nekk ci biir ndox mi sellal ndox mi ba waral mu soppi li nga xamante ne moom la ndox mi di saf mu soppi cafin gi def ko ndox mu sell te óor CTO block carbon filter bii nag du yem rek ci segg ndox mi sellal ko ba mu sell waaye nag daf koy yokk ay ngéneel yi nga xamante ne ni day baax ci wérgu yaramu doomu aadama bi dëgëral waaye tamit yàggal lool sa yuur wi am nañ tamit 12-inch filter set of 3 boobu it liggéey bu nu mel lay def ñetti filter yépp benn bu ne ak lu muy liggéey am nañ 10-inch post carbon 10-inch coconut carbon 75 GPD pure one membrane bi amal nañ leen bépp xeetu water tank tàmbalee ko ci 500 litres 5000 ba ci 1000 litres ak plumbing fittings kon nag mbokk yi bu ngeen buggee naan ndex yu sell te wóor seeti leen One Stop Water Solution Limited suñu makkaan bu mag baa nga foofa ca Sukuta Highway Mariama Kunda Johnson wala nga call ñu ci 505 5691 796 8272 One Stop Water Solution Limited ndox mu set mooy yàggal dund ni doomu